Hi everybody, we're back for our final class of the semester. So we're still on Module 14, but now we are covering Part 2, and we're still talking about evolution and society. So make sure you do the readings, pages 265 to 270. It's the last few pages of your textbook. So let's go ahead and get started. Some assignments that are due. We have our Module 14 quiz, so everything we cover on Module 14 plus your reading. Make sure you fill that out. It is different than your previous module quizzes. It is not multiple choice. It is fill in the blank or short answer. That will be due on May 7th at midnight. Only 4 questions, but each question is worth 2.5 points, and then that's multiplied to equal 20 points. So make sure you get that turned in. Also, our final exam, you should have received the final exam. That is due on May 13th by midnight, not the 12th. It's due on May 13th. It will be a take-home final, 4 questions, essay response. I've given you a week and a half or so to work on it. So please make sure you get all of those final exams into me. And then you'll be done with the full semester. And so hopefully you enjoyed the class and you learned something. And I wish you guys all the best and good luck on your final. I also want to point out to all of my students, if you missed an assignment since quarantine started, please email me and let me know what you missed. If you missed a quiz or if you missed a lab, and I will reopen those quizzes or accept late lab work. So please email me. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. I'm here to help you. I want you guys all to get all the points you possibly can, just because it's been a crazy time and this whole shelter in place has really caused some drastic changes in our semester. So please, I normally don't do this, but make sure you email me and I can help you. Also, make sure you do the final exam. That's just a given. It's here again on this slide for some reason. Okay. Final exam again. Oh my gosh, a lot of final exam stuff. Take home final, 4 questions, writing assignment, turn it in. Okay, so the Module 14 reading, we're still covering evolution and society, and all of the things that we're talking about are on these pages, 265 to 270. So before we get started, I just want to draw attention to my first part 1 of Module 14 lecture. I did have a video in that lecture, and I had to trim it out and post the link instead below in the description for Module 14 Part 1 lecture. So you can still watch that video. It is trimmed weirdly, but you'll just have to click on the link in order for it to work. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Remember, we're still covering court cases, all about evolution versus creationism. And so we talked about 3 court cases prior to this, the Scopes monkey trial. We talked about McLean, and now we're moving forward. Now we're talking about Edwards versus Aguillard, and so this happened in 1987, which is crazy to me because this was just approximately 30 some years ago. But Aguillard was a teacher, a AP science teacher in Louisiana. And he went to go challenge the Louisiana version instead of the Arkansas version of a balanced treatment law. So if you remember, McLean challenged Arkansas, the Board of Education. Now Aguillard is challenging Louisiana. And this is the balanced treatment law that we talked about previously, where if you taught evolution, you would also have to teach creationism. But during this court case, it was determined that creationism supports a religious agenda, and it is technically not a science. It is a religious belief and teaching, and so therefore you did not have to teach this creationism side by side with evolution. as to maintain the separation of church and state, whereas evolution isn't necessarily any religious belief. It doesn't harbor in churches or in temples or anywhere else. It is just a belief among scientists, or a theory technically, but it is backed up with evidence. And so on the flip side, creationism typically falls under the category of Christianity or some sort of skewed religious belief in terms of allowing one religion to move to the forefront of what they were discussing in schools. And also McLean, they were religious pastors or religious folks that that originally didn't want students to learn about religion in schools, because then they would have to reteach it in their Sunday school or in their church time for these students, because they were taught possibly incorrectly based on whatever Methodist or Lutheran or Catholic or any other belief that you possibly would have. Okay, so anyway, determined that creationism for Edwards versus Aguillard supported a specific religious agenda. It was not a science. You did not have to teach it now in balanced law or in the balanced treatment law in classrooms, because it is unconstitutional. I wish I had a really good video for that particular law, but I don't. It was very hard to find a lot of information in terms of visual information for you guys to include on this PowerPoint slide. I don't know, for some reason, maybe it's because it's the McLean case overshadowed the Edwards versus Aguillard case or something, but there was not a lot of information in terms for me to add any sort of visual videos or photos or anything for that particular case, court case. Okay, so let's move on to the Kitzmiller versus Dover. So this happened in 2004. So this was approximately 15 years ago, which is crazy. However, in this particular case, the Dover School District mandated for the teaching of intelligent design along with evolution as scientific. So again, it's very similar to the balanced treatment law. It's where you're teaching intelligent design along with evolution. Now, intelligent design could have been masquerading around in disguise for creationism, which is what the issue was here. There was an intelligent design textbook that the Dover school system used. It was called Of Pandas and People, and I have a short video on that, but it was in short written by the same person who wrote a creationism book. And so the video will go into a little bit more depth on the court case, but that was one of the textbooks that the Dover school system used. It was determined that intelligent design was trying to push a religious agenda, and therefore it should have been removed from the biology curriculum. So you should not be teaching intelligent design alongside of evolution, as it was in disguise as a form of creationism taught alongside of evolution, which is the one thing that all of these other court cases moved to prevent, because teaching creationism is more of a religious belief and would push a specific agenda, whereas evolution isn't rooted in any sort of religion at all, and that is just the cut and dry of the matter. It's not necessarily that people who teach evolution don't believe in religion, or people who believe in evolution don't believe in religion. You can be both. However, teaching a specific religion in school to youth was ruled unconstitutional, and therefore we needed a separation of church and state. Okay, so I have a few videos from this 2004 case. Because it was so recent, I mean, just within the last 2 decades here, there is a lot of information on the Kitzmiller versus Dover court case. So I will have those videos up here in a second. Okay. Let's get this one started. They're each about 3 minutes long, really quick and easy. This particular lecture is also going to be short just because there isn't a ton for us to cover, and also it is the last week, and you have to watch the intelligent design on trial video as well. Okay.
A school district in rural York County was thrust into the national spotlight as it grappled with issues of science, religion, and education in a U.S. federal court case. The trial involving Dover Area School District is a significant part of a long series of legal challenges regarding what is fit to teach in America's public school science classrooms. Typically, these cases were framed as religion versus science. There was little doubt that religious views drove the opposition to evolution's place in the classroom. Dover's case was different. Instead of suggesting a religious theory or questioning evolution without providing an alternative, Dover wanted teachers to read a statement in 9th grade biology class that said evolution was not a fact. The statement would introduce an alternative to evolution called intelligent design. Intelligent design is the idea that life is too complex to have evolved without a guiding hand. Proponents don't say who or what the designer might be. It was, one Dover board member said, simply a matter of academic freedom. A federal judge disagreed. U.S. District Judge John E. Jones III said that a supernatural explanation for life is inherently unscientific and has no place in a public school science classroom. He also ruled that intelligent design had religious roots, saying it was simply creationism relabeled. Introducing it in a public school class, Jones said, would violate the U.S. Constitution's separation of church and state. That was a big deal in 2005 and still is today. The ruling that barred intelligent design from Dover's science classes narrowed the legal options for evolution's detractors. There have been court cases since 2005 that dealt with evolution in the classroom, but in the last decade, there has been no case on the issue as significant as Dover's.
All right, that is just a taste of the Kitzmiller versus Dover court case. I have one more video on them that talks about Of Pandas and People, the book that was used for intelligent design in this court case. And I will play that.
In 2004, the Dover, Pennsylvania School Board was trying to push an intelligent design textbook into the science classrooms. But angry parents and teachers decided they had to stop it and sue the school board. They contacted us, the National Center for Science Education, in order to help prepare their case. We knew that the textbook Of Pandas and People was simply creationism in disguise, but the question was, how could we prove it? We started excavating through the history of the book, and it turns out that Of Pandas and People actually has a very interesting evolution of its own. The first piece of evidence we found was in a 1981 Christian student newspaper. It announced that a creation science textbook was being edited by the same man who would later edit Of Pandas and People. This clue led our legal team to subpoena all the drafts of Pandas and People, where we found even more proof of its link to that creation science textbook in the form of 2 drafts of the book. One version said, "Creation means that various forms of life began abruptly through the agency of an intelligent creator. With their distinctive features already intact, fish with fins and scales, birds with feathers, beaks and wings, etc." The second version says, "Intelligent design means that various forms of life began abruptly through an intelligent agency. With their distinctive features already intact, fish with fins and scales, birds with feathers, beaks and wings, etc." But here's the kicker. The first draft was written prior to a 1987 Supreme Court decision declaring it unconstitutional for creationism to be taught in science classes. The second draft was written immediately after. What's clear is that the editors of these versions simply changed the language to bypass the Supreme Court decision. More than that, we found that the editors making these revisions had actually been pretty sloppy in some cases. On one page, we found a very peculiar word, C-design proponencyst. It became very clear that they had just done a lazy or hasty cut and paste job. And unfortunately for them, the word C-design proponencyst was the missing link and proof that intelligent design is no more than creationism in disguise. The judge in the Dover trial was convinced as well, and ruled that intelligent design had no place in the science classroom.
So they were referencing the court case, Edwards versus Aguillard, in that particular video as well. A very interesting case that happened within the last 2 decades here, the Kitzmiller case in Pennsylvania. Okay, so in addition to today's lecture and our lab for this week, please make sure you watch the full intelligent design video. This is it's called Intelligent Design on Trial, and it's part of our lecture and lab, and to support this lecture and lab that we are doing for this particular module. The video itself is available on YouTube, and it is 1 hour and 50 minutes long. So here is the URL link right here. I've also included it in our email and on Cobra, so that link should be readily accessible to you. So make sure you watch that design video. So today is also our last class, so I just want to thank you all for a fantastic semester. All of your grades should be in within a day or two. And please reach out to me if you are missing an assignment. Send me an email, kbuckley@parkland.edu, and I will help you. So thank you guys, and good luck on any future classes you're taking and within your future endeavors as well.